We are going to move on to Diamond because I know Diamond's got some lovely peeps who are going to be ready and listening for her. Diamond Drip is a business and life enhancer. I love that word. Located in Maryland, USA. She has a background in visual communications, digital marketing, alternative wellness. Oh, that sounds healthy and fun, doesn't it? Diamond supports specialty coaches and specialty product-based solopreneurs who have a gift and a knowledge but lack the systems and structures necessary to sustain growth and scale. Oh my goodness, I love scaling so much more than growing because I don't want to just manage a bigger thing. I want to just like 10x it and go. I want to get the value without the extra time, money, and effort. So I'm super pumped about hearing from you, sharing with us today, Diamond.
Thank you so much, Annie. That was awesome. And I'm so excited to be here with everyone. You are completely right. Scale, not grow, because it's the same, but you think about it differently as an entrepreneur.
You sure do. Once you start, when you start a business, you go, all right, I've got to grow this little baby, and that's it. You have to grow it until it's at a stage that you're wanting it to be at, but then you've got to start thinking scale, right? And that's why I love, this whole topic of e-commerce, which we're talking about at this summit. This is why I love connecting, collaborating globally, because you get these opportunities to then scale, which, obviously be able to just, you've only got so many hours in the day, you've got so much money. How do you actually, what is the goal to actually have more revenue in, more impact given, however you're measuring your success with, less time. So you can actually live that life that you're wanting to do. Or if you just love it so much, you can do more of it. So I want to start with you sharing then, Diamond, what inspired you to start your own business and identify, well, what was your niche area? What's your true target market?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Annie. So my first business was started out of necessity. I started as a front desk manager of a sports club. And no, not even manager, front desk. I worked my way up to a manager. And then from there, I worked my way up to general manager. And things were going well until the people who were in charge of the company that I worked at couldn't manage their finances. We lost our lease. I lost my job. And I had at that time, 3-year-old. She turned 6 today. Today is her birthday. And at that time I had a 3-year-old and I had to figure out what to do. So my first business was out of necessity, but my second business, Diamond Drip Consulting, which is my heart and soul today, it started out of passion. At the same time that I was running my first business and being a mom, I was also a student. So visual communications, that visual communications background. And the reason why I entered into the visual communications field was because I love to create. I love computers. I love painting. I love taking someone's ideas and they don't necessarily know the softwares. And so making it into something tangible. And then they're like, yes, it's like you pulled it out of my head. Like those are the reactions that I live for. And so that's why I started my brand consultancy company. And so from there, it grew just because I loved it so much. I just loved being able to help people. And in that is how I identified my niche and target market. I wanted to make sure that the people that I was helping, that I was supporting, they were the people who were ready to receive the best the most effective transformation. The people who literally don't know any softwares. And they're like, this Canva thing, like even something like Canva, like we all hop on it, we do little things here and there, but there are some people who look at Canva and they're like, what is going on here? Like, and then I start talking about ads and so those are the people who I really want to empower, because yes, you can pay someone to do it, but when you don't know the fundamentals and you don't know like the most basic things, that allows the opportunity for you to be taken advantage of. And that's one thing that I don't want any of my clients. Like I've heard of people like they have their website developer design their site and then they're, going back and forth with the web developer for months. And I'm like, you could just do it yourself. You just nudge it that way, I think, or just do that thing.
It's so true that people don't know what they don't know. They don't know that it's possible that, you know, you can have something that is not hard to manage yourself. I agree. I look back now, and I used to work for one company who, that's right, they couldn't change something on their website because the developer had disappeared. They didn't know who had the login, whatever. I'm like, you're kidding me? No wonder your business is going to be stalled. And if you're not going forward in a modern economy, you're going backwards very, very quickly because everyone else is shifting, right? So we need to be careful about that. I love that you actually had that experience, not that it was pleasant at the time, particularly when, you know, if I imagine how stressful that would have been when you lost your role. But when you actually go, how did you stuff it up so bad? Like, do you know what I mean? You can be so into your business, but you can then have people going, not managing their business, not managing it effectively, efficiently. Those systems and processes that you can put in place, sometimes they just don't know what is possible. Sometimes they don't know how that actually works. And I love what you shared there, Diamond, that the best clients are the ones who had the biggest transformation. I'm totally into that too, because those are the ones who actually become your biggest brand ambassadors, right? They're the ones who go, oh my gosh, Diamond changed my life. Like, seriously, like, I didn't even know what I wanted, but when it got created, I'm like, yes, that's it. So I think we forget sometimes in business that when we do something day in, day out, we go, well, everybody would know this, or this is just the way it works. You actually forget that other people are at their beginning part of their journey, or they have an idea for something, but they don't know what that would actually look like and how that would translate, which also requires, I think, Diamond, I'd love you to share too, or, you know, it requires you to be able to get into their head, to be able to help bring that out, to be able to ask them the right questions, to be able to see, you know, if it looked like this, would that be amazing for you? Is that, you know, like, what is the result that you're actually looking for, rather than just trying to help them? You know, it's about the solution, right? Providing that solution for them.
100%. I empower all of my clients to know what it is that they're doing, because the goal for my clients is to bring on an assistant. I want every single one of my solopreneur clients to bring on an assistant, because when I did that, I could take a breath. It felt like I was running a business. But in order to bring her on, I had to have some structure, or otherwise, you know, delegation, what's that? I'm doing you have to you have to have the systems and the structures in place. They're so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think every business really changes once you get over yourself. Like, once I get to a level that you can actually then go, right, if I have to outsource one thing, what will it be? Either a VA or a bookkeeper, usually. It's suddenly getting to that level, which sounds like, oh, but that's a bit luxurious, or I'm not ready, or I can do everything. But a whole shift happens once you then, one, you have to be able to communicate what you want. So you have to be able to move to that level of documentation and communication, but two, it just frees you up to be in your business. Which brings me to my next question then to you. What have been some of the biggest challenges that you then overcame? So you went from an employee to then starting your own business. You're studying as well. You're a busy mom. It's all happening. And then you go, I want to do things better. I'm now, you know, I know what my business is. What were the biggest challenges for you, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, similar to parenting, entrepreneurship, it has many books out there, many books. But there's no specific book on like, this is exactly what you do for your business and for your baby and this and that. So I would say that the biggest challenge was not having a community around me that had done what I was trying to do. And so, you know, my family, my friends, they're at their W-2 position. They don't think about things like, you know, branding for a whole entire company, or bookkeeping, or whatever it is. And if they're doing Uber, like how I did for a while, they're thinking about like self-employed things. They're not thinking like big business, like how do you market yourself? Like you're on an app, people pick you or they don't. And usually I don't even think they pick, I don't do Uber, but I think it just kind of automatically assigns it. There's no choice system. So in order to overcome that, I like to say I overcompensated with knowledge, because I'm learning from my mentor, because I faced those challenges in two ways. I overcompensated with knowledge so that I always felt like I had the confidence to speak to whatever it was that I was up against. And then, of course, I recently got a mentor, and having the support and the resources and that knowledge base to lean back on, I think it helps you overcome so many things. And the reason I say overcompensate with knowledge is because I'm learning from my mentor that many things that we put out into the world have to be adjusted for the masses, which means 12-year-old language. And that is something that I struggle with. I'm like, I want to just say it how I learned it. So I would definitely say knowledge is definitely a big factor. And then, of course, getting a mentor who knew the ropes and could lend that support with her community and her insights.
A couple of points to then draw in there. One, as a mentor myself, I love the fact that you've mentioned that and found the value in that. And I believe that everyone, whatever stage of your journey, you should always have a mentor who is definitely, ahead of you in the area, in the niche that you're in. So not just anyone, actually someone who's done the journey. They've certainly done the journey their way, and they'll be able to give that experience, but it won't be exactly your way, but you can learn a lot from it, and usually then you'll get that coaching as well. I find that an interesting comment that you've made, that you've around knowledge. So it's the knowledge that you have that you then have to apply to the market. And so I'd love if anyone's got any questions too, because this can be really frustrating that you're wanting to give out so much information or knowledge of your learnings, your skills, your expertise, but you've got to do it in a way that it appears on social, that's going to connect with someone, that's going to resonate. Is that what you're sharing? Has that been the hardest bit to actually? It feels like you're dumbing it down, which is really frustrating, but you've also got to hook somebody to go, oh yeah, that's what I need. So it's in a tiny way, phrase what you're actually wanting them to learn more about. That is hard, isn't it?
Yeah, this morning, Taylor's dad and we went to go grab her cake. And I said something like, I don't know what's going on. My cortisol levels are really high. And he's like, you're what? I'm like, because I had just learned like cortisol is responsible for that stress. And you can do certain things to lower the cortisol levels. But it was just the way that I said it, how I learned about it. It's like, cortisol levels are high. He's like, what? What are you talking about?
So Diamond, what have been your most effective marketing and advertising strategies that you've used to, here you are, you're a young entrepreneur, you've got to drive those sales, you've got to grow that business, you're definitely looking to scale. What have been the most key strategies that you've used that you could share with our delegates today?
Yes. I would say the most effective marketing strategy that I've been doing is just, and marketing makes it feel salesy, like just building connection with people, networking. And I don't mean what people think is networking when you go into a room and, you're hoping for a sale and you give your pitch and you're like, please. I mean, like literally the way networking was intended. You go in with the intention of adding value and getting to know people and searching for that opportunity to continue the relationship and get to know the person. So I go in with the hope to every networking meeting that I'll have the opportunity to follow up with them and help them with one of their biggest challenges. Whether they choose to work with me or not after that point, that's fine. But at least they've gotten a solution, an actionable item that can help them in their business. And maybe I might come up top of mind and they'll say, oh, I got that Diamond drip. She helped me with so-and-so. So maybe I'll connect you. And that's just been the most effective, I would say, building connection.
Building connections. And I know Carol's already mentioned that, Babita mentioned that already. And so it's a common theme where, you know, as our third speaker, it is all about building connections and also showing up. So what you're saying is too, you're doing exactly that. You're showing up at different events and you're just being, you're offering, you know, your knowledge, your skills. And if the right people are resonating with that, they'll see that. I'd love for you to share a little bit more then, as well as that, of how you package that from a solutions focus. So obviously in Business 101 is actually you're solving someone else's problem. You know, they have a problem, whether they're aware of the exact problem or not, the specifics, they know what they want and they're not receiving that at the moment. So in their business, you're then able to help them, I'm assuming, in their, you know, graphic designs, making sure that they've got their, you know, marketing, their brand, all of those sorts of things in
Messaging.
So how do you approach that from a way you're at a networking event and you're wanting to sort of explain that, you know, this is the business you're in? Do you approach it of this is what I have the joy of helping other people do, and talk about sort of scenarios? I always love sort of approaching it that way, because they're like, oh, I'd love that as well, without you having to look all salesy.
So one of the biggest ways is just asking permission. One of the things that my mentor talks about is the grow conversation. And so when she first introduced it, I believe she said it's used for something else. I don't remember what it's used for, but she applies it to conversations around sales. So the grow conversation stands for goals, reality, option, and then wrap up. And so when you talk to someone about their goals, it may seem salesy at first if you're not used to asking people about their goals, but it honestly is a way to get to know someone. When they're telling you about their dream and they're telling you about why their dream matters to them, you're getting to know them. And then when you get curious and you ask them about what's stopping them from whatever the dream they just laid out for you looks like, you're getting curious, you're getting to know them further. And when you ask for permission to lay out a mini plan, offer what it is that you have to offer, your services, your product, whatever it is, and they say yes, you've been given the opportunity. The way we like to say it is, you've been offered a cookie. Like, whether they choose to have a cookie or not, then that's, you know. And so when you lay out the mini plan and you're sitting with them and you ask the $1 million question, how are you hoping that I could help you with that? It opens up the opportunity for them to say, well, you know, you showed me this and I understand that this is what you do. And at that point, it's not salesy. You're literally just seeing if it's a good match or a good fit to work with one another and offer that support that you laid out in your mini plan.
I love that. That you can actually do business really, really well without actually feeling that you're selling. You know, and I actually love that model, that if you are just talking about what you do, the solutions that you offer for other people, you know, for example, you know, even Carol, our last speaker, you know, it's kind of like, well, if you're wanting to attract people on LinkedIn and you're wanting to be able to show up with a brand presence that all matches and it truly encapsulates who you are so that the right people are attracted to that, then it automatically happens. And then what you're sharing, Diamond, is exactly the same, that you can actually be at a networking event and go, oh my gosh, like I've just been working on this project with this person, this is what they wanted and this is what I was able to provide for them. And then it can be just in such a nice conversational way that the person's actually, the right people at the right time are actually thinking, you know, that's exactly what I need. You know, I need that, and I'm thankful that I found someone who's got a solution for that. So you don't have to be all, you know, here is my package and this is the cost, you know, all those sorts of things. You can actually just go, oh well, this, you know, this is just what I do and this is how I can help people. What has been your biggest learnings about yourself then? You know, you've only been an entrepreneur, what sounds like 3 years. What has been your biggest growth moments that you now look back and go, oh my gosh, had I known this 3 years ago, I might have done it differently, or I needed to learn this about myself or the way business works?
The only thing I knew about business coaches when I first got started was that they were expensive and not all of them were great. So when I embarked on this journey, I chose the route of knowledge, and that cost me time. I'm grateful for the knowledge that I have, because learning it myself, it meant so much more. Taking those notes, activating that part of my brain, it helped me retain that information in a way where I can then present it to my clients in a helpful way. But having a mentor would have helped. The support that I receive in Women Rocking Business, that's the community that I joined. We have wing women who, one of the big things about hosting events is worrying about if someone's going to show up, which can cause this kind of fear response where you don't do as much as you might have, because you're like, I'm going to spend this money. I don't know if people are going to show up, like what's going to happen. And with the wing woman concept, you have someone who's going to be there. They're going to be in the chat, loving you up. They're going to be doing your slides for you if that's what you require, if tech isn't your thing. And to have that support and to have that community and to have someone who I can work on my story with, who's, as you said, been down the journey. She's built a multi-million-dollar business. So why would I not consult her on how to talk about my services, to talk about my story, and to choose the right one? Because for a really long time, before I came in contact with her, I realized I was telling the wrong story. The story I tell now, where I talk about the help and the support that I received from joining a mentor program, that's most applicable to me. But I was telling the wrong one. I was like, 3 years ago, I was in this and I did Uber and Lyft, and it's like, but you're not there now. And you're trying to relate to a person who you were 3 years ago. And we evolve, we grow. And it became harder in marketing to tell that story, because I'm like, what are people who are thinking about leaving their job thinking about? But when you speak from where you are, you're able to affect so much more change, because somebody else is probably exactly where you are. And that offers an opportunity for support.
I really honor your honesty in sharing there. I really appreciate that. So thank you for doing that, because I think that's going to be just so helpful for others to realize, that couple of things you mentioned there. One, the value of a mentor is just so great because they can fast track that journey. So yes, you still need to learn that knowledge. Yes, you need to still learn all of these moments, but they can do it in a way that you learn what you need when you need it. They can tailor it, they can fast track it, they can give you their top tips, that it doesn't have to be a struggle. So that absolutely. You also mentioned the community, and whatever our communities, we come from a whole lot of communities. Deb Drummond's just jumped onto, and we're looking forward to Deb speaking next. And people have already been fangirling on you, Deb, which is wonderful. Susan's given you a massive shout out, and absolutely true. And I know people from Leadership Global, Women's Biz Global, your ladies, it's great. Whoever your peeps are, be surrounded by people who are going to support you. They're going to empower you. They're going to lift you up. They're going to cheer you on, but they're also going to keep you accountable. And I love that too. Be firm on each other. When you put something out to the universe and you go, I really want to do this, we'll do it. We want you to do it, right? And we want to ask each other, how are you going with that? Did you get onto Deb Drummond's book? Did you follow her up? Did you sign up to be a speaker on Annie's Summit? Did you go get that new sponsorship deal? If so we want to fangirl and cheer, but we also want to go, what, this is important to you. We really want that to happen for you. And so I think that's that maturity that actually happens as you grow in your, just in yourself, but also in business. Realizing the value in that is just so key. I also love that you've had that learning, Diamond, that it might not necessarily be, we need to not talk about as much our journey that we've had, because you're speaking to, in business, you're speaking to the person who, what are their needs? They don't really care about your journey. And this is really hard. We can speak out in a way of, if you're like me and you've had challenges, or you had to struggle, or you've done that, they want to know that you relate. right? But they also don't care that you had to spend time doing Uber or doing this or doing that. It's kind of like going, that's not my problem. Like that's not going to pay my bills. It's not going to give me the answer. It's not going to give me a solution, not going to give me a marketing plan. So while we can get lost in, but this is where we're at, and this has been my learning and my growth, and I want to share that with everybody. I think that's a really key thing. And I'm really thankful that you shared that with us today, because those listening in will also, have a little think about that on your messaging of what you're sharing. You're doing a call out, if it's for me, for Women's Biz Global, that's what I would do. I'll go, if you're a woman who is feeling tired or stressed or overwhelmed, you've tried so many things, you don't know what next step is. You're here and you want to be at this amazing place. You want to fast track it as much as possible. I get you. This is what I do. That's all you need to do. You got to relate, but you don't have to say, oh, well, I had these years and doing this and this, and this happened to me and this happened to me, because people get lost in that. They don't want someone else's drama. They don't want to know what your struggles have been really, which is really hard, because you want them to kind of feel your pain, feel your wounds, appreciate your learnings. But at the end of the day, they don't. And so I think that is such a valuable piece of information, that it's that whole recipe of taking the learnings and the backstory and then being able to put it as a real power pack of why you're now in a position, of authority, like Babita, our first speaker, that now she left that. She had her expertise from, being a corporate lawyer, and then now being able to, and then became a psychotherapist, and then puts this, she's able to relate to different professions, because of that experience. That's all that matters. I love, Carol had this moment. She's got those 20 years of experience in marketing and all this corporate knowledge, and she can actually just now go, hey, I get marketing. So even if you think it's just a social media platform, no, I see it from a different way because of my skills and expertise. You in your business is like, yeah, I've got the qualifications, I'm young, I'm current, I know what you're wanting, I know you can become more efficient. And I've also know the pain of a business that fails when you don't have these things on board. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really thankful. Well, if you do, just pop them in the chat. You'll be able to find Diamond. Diamond, give a shout out for your website and pop it in the chat as well. How will people find you?
Yes, 100%. Thank you. So my website is diamonddripconsulting.com, and I will be putting information in the chat. Also on my website, if you host events, I have a free gift on my website about how to fill those events. 10 ideas. It's very fun.
Cool. Oh, I love a freebie. Go and get that freebie. Go and visit the website. Awesome. I have really, really enjoyed your sharing today. So thank you for giving up your time to be with us today. And thank you for everybody else who has listened. And keep those comments happening. Make sure you drop your own details in the chat as well, because I'll be sharing those with everyone over our 12 hours of summit.